Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
That's called the case of the people versus Stephen Johnston.
Good morning, Aaron. Alex Green on behalf of Mr. Johnston. I'm requesting permission to practice on CR 8.120 under the supervision of Attorney Lauren Brown.
Really? Okay. Permission to practice is good.
Stephen Michael Johnston, Your Honor. How are you?
Thank you.
This morning.
I'm just wonderful. Yourself?
I could be doing better, Your Honor.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it'd be that way. Go ahead.
Your Honor, we're asking the court to set the matter for a preliminary examination.
All discovery is complete.
Yes, Your Honor.
People have the witnesses available on the 16th. Preliminary examination will be set April 16th in person. 9 a.m. before
Fresh hour.
Judge Fresh Hour.
Would like to be heard on bond. Good time.
Yes. Go ahead.
2.1 is the amount of his bond, and 2 are his phone calls. First, at the time that I charged this case, I requested a $50,000 cash surety bond. The magistrate set his bond in the amount of $40,000, 10%. I'm requesting
40,000.
40,000, 10%. I
Okay.
don't know, yeah. But I'm requesting the 50,000 again. The defendant is charged with strangulation and domestic violence. There may be an additional charge of possession of meth coming as well. The suspected meth that the defendant had in his backpack upon arrest is currently at the lab. If we get those test results that come back meth, we'll be charging that also. But in this case, the defendant used one hand, put his hand around the victim's neck and strangled her. He then put his other hand into her face, covering her mouth and her nose. The lethality report that the police filled out reflected the victim is struggling to breathe while he was doing this. Prior to strangling her, he had hit her in the face with a plastic fan. And the police were able to observe injuries to her. She had redness to her neck, and she then received medical treatment. The defendant also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holds. 2 are from Trenton, 1 is from Lincoln Park, and 1 is from Dearborn. Those 4 are all traffic offenses. However, he does have a Dearborn Heights domestic violence hold with a $500 bond on that. I don't know the circumstances of that domestic violence case, but I'll be reaching out to them to get a copy of that report. So first, I'm requesting that the bond be increased to 50,000. Yesterday, I received notice from an intern that works in our office who had the opportunity to review all of Mr. Johnson's jail calls. And the intern sent me a memo about 8 of the defendant's jail calls. I immediately reached out to Mr. Warren Green. I downloaded the 8 jail calls and sent them to Mr. Warren Green. And I had the the Sheriff's Office Record Department yesterday send Mr. Warren Green all of the defendant's jail calls. So they've had access to them for almost as long as I have. In the 8 jail calls, the defendant placing calls to the victim despite a no contact order with the victim, they are discussing this case in detail. They've discussed the victim changing her story, that the victim is going to take responsibility, that she's going to say that she remembers things differently. The defendant directs her to call the prosecutor's office and, I quote, be on their ass a little bit, make them drop the charges, tell them that you want this dropped. As if Ms. Barroso was here, she would say that he then engages in love bombing, telling her how much he loves her, that he wants to marry her, that he wants to put a ring on her finger, that he just wants to get out of jail, tell the prosecutors to drop the charges. My office has been in contact with the victim to continue to offer her support. The officer in charge from Ann Arbor yesterday was also in contact with her to offer her support as well to allow us to move forward with these charges. My office is looking into whether or not we will be filing a forfeiture for wrongdoing against this defendant should this victim ultimately decide to tell us a different story. However, based on the supports we're providing her, I'm hoping that is not the case. And we're also looking into witness intimidation against the defendant. So A, please increase this bond to 50,000 as I initially requested, and B, will revoke his jail call privileges as well. Thank you.
Man,
Response.
Thank you, Your Honor. As Ms. Hughes said, she did send those phone calls over to me yesterday. I had an opportunity to listen to those. I had an opportunity to speak to my client. Mr. Johnston understands that any contact with the complaining witness is a violation of his no contact order. He assures me he will not contact her whatsoever moving forward. Our only request is that the court retain the 10% privilege in his bond. If Mr. Johnston were to post, he would reside with his grandmother in Redford. He was employed fully before this as a sales rep at AT&T. Mr. Johnson has 2 children and only has 1 prior conviction on his record for a
Just and maybe I didn't understand what you said. He has a 2023 domestic violence conviction.
Your Honor,
And Your Honor, I apologize. If that's true, all I can see in his Michigan criminal history is 1 prior conviction for
No, it's
the traffic matter.
Your Honor, may I speak, please?
We have an attorney. If you want to, you can go ahead.
Your Honor, I was not aware that I wasn't allowed to contact my fiance.
Really?
No, I didn't. When the video during the court in the inside of the jail cell has been glitching.
And Your Honor,
Oh,
Your
it was
Honor,
a
he's
glitch when the
certainly-
magistrate was saying.
But I am aware now, Your Honor, I am aware now that I'm not allowed to contact her whatsoever. But I did not love bomb my fiance whatsoever. My fiance openly in the
Stop
state.
it. Stop it. Your Honor, I think what Mr. Johnson meant to say is there were no
Oh,
threats.
what he meant to say what?
He was absolutely not threatening any witnesses in the case.
No, I wasn't. Not
Was he
whatsoever.
telling her to change her story?
No, I was not. She openly, you can listen to the
Oh,
call.
you don't want me to do that.
No, but I'm telling you, the very first phone call with her, openly admitted to it. I didn't coerce her.
Your Honor, we're asking to proceed to preliminary exam.
Yes, miss.
I-
There's more.
No,
Go ahead.
No, just to be completely candid with the court, I said it was a conviction. I'm sorry. In 2020, he was bound over in Wayne County on the domestic violence and child abuse charges. I said it was a conviction. It just says bound over in the judicial segment. I apologize. So I need to be clear. I don't know what the ultimate outcome of that case was.
Your Honor, my understanding is that case is set for trial in May.
So he was out on bond in felony child abuse charges and.
When this occurred.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
I would find that I'm not sure where the 40 comes from, but whatever. I find that the 10% is an abuse of discretion, given all of the circumstances. The defendant's, the 10% privilege. I will not raise it to 50, but it'd be $40,000 cash surety. Will be his bond. Further, it was clear, and it was less than 10 days, well, less than a week. This defendant was arraigned, and all of this has occurred, and the phone calls have been listened to, and he shouldn't have been in any contact whatsoever with her. Just plain and simple, shouldn't have been in any contact regardless of the contact. Defendant's phone privileges are hereby revoked in their entirety. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.